everyone, welcome to the video that you've all been waiting for, your official instruction on planting video. So Whitney and I both planted our gardens last week. She planted her in-ground and then I did my container gardens, of course. Don't worry though, you still have plenty of time to get your gardens in. I know a lot of people are planning on planting this weekend during Memorial Weekend, so it gives you an extra day to plant as well. Hopefully the weather will stay nice for that. Just a reminder, when you do plant, after we give you all the instructions, you definitely want to go ahead and water everything down really well. This will help them kind of keep that moisture in, especially if you're starting some stuff from seeds, like we are doing corn and green beans as well from seeds, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So Whitney actually goes into a lot of detail on her planting, so I did not spend as much time going into detail on the containers. Just to kind of, the containers were just more to give you an idea of how to space in them and things like that. So she will go into more detail when she talks about planting directly into the garden with her different varieties that she has. And then I have a couple of in-ground that I'm going to show you as well, because I decided to do some in-ground too in my small area that I have for some flower beds, which I will talk about in just a little bit as well. So we have come so far in such a short amount of time, so hopefully you are excited about getting your garden started, and we will see what happens in the next couple of videos as we go into maintenance, as well as staking your tomatoes or trellising, putting in trellises or things like that for some of those other plant varieties that will require those. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing some of your guys' gardens, and if you have any questions at all, please let us know. We are happy to help in any way we can.
So I took the time yesterday to measure out and kind of mark off my rows for planting. I am a little particular. I want them in straight rows. I want them evenly spaced apart. I come out and plant with a measuring tape so that I know how far apart everything is. But ideally you just need to follow the directions on your seed packet or on like the little stick that comes in your plants to know how far apart to plant everything. So I went through yesterday and made rows for everything, and then we are going to start planting some of our varieties that are going into the garden. So the first thing we're going to plant is one of our tomato plants. This is a paste tomato variety, but it doesn't matter what variety you're planting, you can plant them all the same. So you're just going to dig a nice deep hole, and then with tomato plants you actually want to bury them kind of deep, because the farther you get the stem down in, it actually will produce roots coming off of here and build a really nice root system. So where some plants you plant them right at the ground level, this one you actually bury a little bit. And then you just gently kind of cover it with your dirt. And then as the plants grow, we will talk about in later episodes how to trellis or stake them to support the weight of the tomatoes. But that is all for now with the tomato. Okay, so if you're doing a container, like I'm doing, then you can really only plant a couple of plants to a container. So right here I've got my tomato plants. I'm only going to do 2 to this because they are going to get pretty large. So first things first, I'm going to pick up some of my soil and dig me a nice little hole, and then pop the whole thing out just like that. And we're going to put it down here. And then, don't touch that. And then cover it up. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the other one, kind of space it out, and put it over here. So the next variety that we're planting is just a pepper plant. This is a hot banana, but you can plant them the same as you would any other variety. So just tip it out of your thing. Now this one you want to just try to keep kind of at ground level. It doesn't have the same type of root system that a tomato plant does. And then just pull your dirt up around it. So for zucchini plants and cucumber plants, you want to kind of mound up your soil to kind of elevate it a little bit. And then zucchini and cucumber are something too that you can plant straight from seed right now, and it will still be tall enough and produce well enough. So if you're planting it with seeds, I would just put like 2 or 3 seeds in your mound. That way if you have any that don't grow, they're fine. If you have already started yours from seed or you have purchased them, I would just do 1 plant per mound. Just kind of dig in and then mound up around your plant. So cucumbers are a vining plant, so they will spread into your garden. They don't take over, but they do take up a lot of space. So to try and maximize the space in my garden, I'm using a cattle panel trellis that is arched over, and I'm going to grow cantaloupe up one side and cucumbers up the other side. So I've just created kind of a mound here, and then you'll dig a little hole down in. You'll put either your cucumber plant in there and mound the dirt up around it, or if you're starting from seed, put like 2 seeds in each little hole and then cover those back up. Okay, so again, I'm only going to plant a couple of plants to this one, so I'm going to go ahead and put my cucumber plants in here. This is all the bigger they are right now. Kind of the same thing, just make sure that they're covered with soil. We'll just make a little spot and then kind of spread it out as much as I can. This is also one of the ones that Whitney's going to talk to you about, and you kind of want to build it up into a mound. Just do this, and build it up as much as you can with your soil, and then we'll do the same thing on this side with the other plant. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to plant my corn along this back side. So I kind of made just a little row right here. These are my corns. So I'm just going to drop them in there. And I'm just going to do one just like that. Kind of all the way down this way. And then I'm just going to cover them back up, just like that. And then I'll continue to do that, and like I said, I'm going to do 2 rows of that. Okay, so like I said before, corn is one of those plants that kind of pollinates through the wind. So I have all of my corn planted in 2 rows along this back part. And so what I'm going to do is, if you come over here to my other side of my flower bed, I am going to plant some corn kind of intermixed with some of the plants that I already have planted there. I'm just going to put just a small 1 row right along the fence right there. And so hopefully that will be enough for the cross-pollination to kind of help it grow just a little bit better. For planting green beans and corn, I really like to use posts at the end of my rows and then a string, and I leave the string there until the plants are a couple inches tall. That kind of deters birds from coming and pecking your seeds out of the ground, and it also helps you remember where you have planted them. So then I just take a hoe and dig like a small trench down there following my string, and then you'll just follow the directions on the package, but you want to put your seeds every 2 to 3 inches, and then you will just cover them back up with loosely with your soil. And that's the same for green beans and corn. If you're planting a pole bean variety for your beans, you'll plant them the same way. You will just then need some type of trellis system for them. I've also seen people kind of plant them in a circle and build like a teepee type structure. But those are some options for planting your beans.
Alright, so now that I've got my corn planted on this side, I'm going to go ahead and do my green beans. I just did another row right through here in front of my corn, and I'm just dropping them in just like this. Trying to space them out, again, a couple inches apart. So one of the other things that I was always told when planting is that it's a good idea to plant additional plants around your crops. So usually it's like geraniums or marigolds or something like that. So I actually did get some geraniums, and I'm going to plant them as well.
So, something that I have learned recently in having a garden is the benefits of mulching your garden. Controlling weeds in a large in-ground garden like this is very, very difficult. Especially if you have kids or you have a busy, you're working. It's very hard to keep up with the weeds. So I have tried using like the plastic ground cover. I didn't really love that. It was hard to keep it down without buying a bunch of stakes. One year we used tree bark mulch. That worked pretty well. Last year what I used that I have really liked is I took old newspapers and laid them down and sprayed them with water, and then I covered them with a couple inches of straw or hay mulch. It drastically decreases the amount of weeding that I have in the summer, and it also adds organic material back to your soil. So you can buy bag mulch, you can buy straw, you can buy hay. Just make sure that your hay and straw has not been sprayed with anything to kill weeds, because then that will also kill your garden. You can also use grass clippings from when you've mown your grass. You can use that. That's what I use in my raised beds. It's a smaller space to cover. It would take a lot of grass clippings to cover my in-ground garden. So the places where I plant seeds, I just wait for those to come up and then I start mulching around those as well. But it has been a huge time saver, and it also helps your garden retain moisture, which decreases the amount of watering that you have to do. Some other things that I've recently added to my garden are flowers. It also adds, some beauty, but it's really great for pollinators. In order for your cucumbers, zucchinis, cantaloupe, any type of squash plants to produce a fruit vegetable, they need to be pollinated by a bee. So by having flowers in your garden, that attracts the bees, which then pollinate your plants. We actually had some problems last year with our cantaloupe not really growing, and I think it was because our cantaloupe plants got overtaken by other plants and the bees couldn't find their flowers. So you can plant any flowers that you prefer. I typically do marigolds, and then I'm adding some zinnias and nasturtium this year because they have benefits as well. So just adding some flowers to your garden can be really beneficial for the bees.